Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim.
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair.
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 59 of A Double and Dice. And today we're going to actually be talking about the meta, what's out there, what we think people might be playing in the upcoming tournament of the Two Team Takedown, which actually is starting the day this podcast releases.
Yay.
So it's actually pretty good timing.
It is good timing. It's almost like we organized it that way, Kim.
I know, right? Look at us seeing the future.
Look at us being organized and coordinated and all the fun things.
So we're going to take a stab at what we think people might bring. You know, the top metas. What we might want to see in some support things or counters or all that other fun stuff that we may see as well.
Yeah. So, Kim, if you are new to Dice Masters, how would you describe a meta? Do you have a definition for that?
No, I'm just gonna go with a very high competitive team.
Okay. So I have researched this for us.
Oh.
And I've done
Look at the things we learn.
Yeah, I've done some fantastic research here because last week you were the teacher, right? You took the role of teacher for our female character in Dice Masters series, which is usually my role. So, and I don't know, how accurate this is, but I think it's a pretty good definition. So a meta in gaming terminology is generally agreed upon strategy by the community. It's considered the most optimal way to win or has the best performance at a specific task. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Okay. It also says here, some people have defined meta as an acronym, which I haven't heard before, but it makes sense. It means most effective tactics available.
Huh.
So I'd buy that.
Interesting.
And what we are not buying or talking about today is Meta, the Facebook company. We are talking about meta in the game of Dice Masters. So what is the best strategy, most effective strategy, the most optimal way to win? What are those cards that are defining, the Dice Masters meta today? And
yes,
what's unique about the meta today is that the today meta includes a whole new set.
Yes, the Dark Phoenix Saga set.
Dark Phoenix Saga set. DPS for short.
What was that? Is that your fire or something?
No, it was DPS.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop doing that now. So we don't know really what teams are going to look like with the introduction of this new set. What I'm going to say is that there's probably going to be lots of cards from this set.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be bringing cards from Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, because everyone likes to play with the new and shiny toys.
Yep.
And with that said, new and shiny toys are available in North America. And new and shiny toys are available to anyone who has ordered their Dark Phoenix Saga from North America. But Dark Phoenix Saga has not, as of the time of this recording, actually released anywhere outside of North America. Right?
Wah.
So, however, we are including it in the Two Team Takedown. I say we as if I have anything to do with it at all, which I don't. Aside from the fact that I watch what's happening because I'm not participating and I'm not organizing. So yeah, but Kim, you are.
Yes, I'm organizing and participating. So always a fun time.
Let's do a brief definition, Kim, of what the Two Team Takedown is. Not all the details and the rules, but just what's the high-level concept.
All right. So Two Team Takedown pretty much is you build two teams. Two distinct teams, I guess. And in the tournament, you play your opponent pretty much a best of 2 out of 3 games, but you need to win with both your teams. So once you win with one, you switch and you play the other until you win with both, or whomever wins with both first. So that's pretty much why it's called a two-team kind of aspect of it. Yep. Mm-hmm. And in this go around a Two Team Takedown, it's actually no limit. So it's wide open. And no bans.
The only thing that is different about your two teams is that your two teams cannot share any cards with the same title.
Yeah. So in the past, Two Team Takedown, you could have done that. But now that DM North has taken the mantle, we've changed that rule into you cannot have the same card name on both teams. So you can't have two Black Widows on two teams.
That's right. So you can have one Black Widow in total. Doesn't matter how many different sets Black Widow's in. If her name is Black Widow, she can only exist on one of your teams.
Correct.
And that brings a really interesting team building concept, Kim, because in some ways, like, first off, there's one of the things we always talk about is that there are multiple versions of cards.
Yep.
And sometimes all of those versions of cards are good for different ways, right? For different purposes. I think about Gazer from the D&D set. Yeah. There's the Intimidate Gazer.
This is a great card.
This is a great card. It's probably the number one and probably the one you're going to see the most of. But there's two other versions of Gazer, and they're both really good for what they do, right? They both do something different, and they both do something unique, but they're also good, but they don't get played as much. And in this format, you still have to choose one of them, even though you have two teams.
Yes.
So there's one that says when Gazer is KO'd, you can draw 2 dice from your opponent's bag, place either or both in their use pile, and return the rest to their bag. So it messes with your opponent's bag control. And then the other one says, when Gazer is KO'd, you may move target die from an opponent's prep area to their use pile. So you can take something they have prepped ready for next turn and say, sorry, you don't get that. We're putting it in your use pile. Again, messing with your opponent's strategy. So both of those are really good. But the Intimidate one is the one that gets the most play because Intimidate is a keyword that happens when you field. You remove target opposing character die from the field zone until end of turn. And we know that when you intimidate a token, and tokens are a big part of the meta, that they disappear, that they don't come back. So that's why you're going to see Gazer Evil Familiar more than the other two versions. And in this format, you can only choose one of them anyway, even though you're building two teams. So it creates a very interesting team building strategy.
You got to flex those muscles, those brain muscles.
Those
makes you think.
Muscles.
Yeah. Because a lot of when I was looking or hearing of people talking, it's like they put almost everything into one, but then it's like they're building another one. Like, well, I could use that card, and I could use that card on my first team, but I can't put it on this team. Yeah. So
I need that global version, right?
Yeah.
If you think about cards that have the global on multiple versions of the card, like Becky Lynch, which has the prep global, pay a shield. The first die you purchase this turn is placed in your prep area instead of your use pile. It's on 3 versions of the card, but you can only put that on one of your teams.
Yeah. So it's a little tough, but it's a good challenge.
And then conversely, in Dark Phoenix Saga, we have a different problem, or challenge, or opportunity, as I would say at work. It wouldn't be a problem, be an opportunity. Mr. Sinister has 4 different globals on each of his rarities. So you can only have one Mr. Sinister global between your 2 teams. Right? Yep. So there's one that allows you to field and prep a sidekick. There's one that allows you to give your dice deadly. There's one that allows you to give your dice overcrush. And I don't remember the other one.
Ignore target attacking character dice text until end of turn.
Thanks, Kim. It's almost like we planned that. So anyway, you can only have one of those amongst your 2 teams. So it creates a different team building strategy. You're used to building one super optimal team, perhaps, if you're building for competitive. Now you need to build 2 teams. Can you make 2 super optimal teams with this strategy, or do you have to build 2 teams that are maybe slightly suboptimal, that aren't including all of the things you want to include, right?
Yeah. Like, I could wish I had like 10 card slot for my team.
Well, that's just normal team building, Kim.
Not including your basic actions.
Yeah. So, with all of that said, let's talk about some of the top cards that we fully expect to see on at least one version of some of these teams. So, what's the first one that comes to your mind, Kim?
The first one is Thor. What do you say it? Jormungand's?
No, the J sounds like a Y.
Oh,
Jormungand's
Sphere. So that's a super rare, and while he's active, when you field a character die, deal 2 damage to target character die or player.
Yep. And that came from the Infinity Gauntlet set. So it has been
Yep.
out for about 18 months. But it is very effective. It's a 6-cost bolt, but it is not hard to get to a 6-cost these days. There's a lot of really easy ways to get yourself a 6-cost.
Yep.
And as a result of that, we fully expect to see Thor.
Oh yeah, there's so many ways of fielding a character these days.
Yeah.
Different ways. That could just deal 2 damage.
Yeah, it's super easy. You can even do it on your opponent's turn with certain globals. So, all right. So I'm going to say, Kim, the first one that came to my mind when you mentioned Thor is Jubilee, X-Men Field Leader. And she's from Dark Phoenix Saga, so she's new. I believe her text is a reprint of some variety. She's a 4-cost bolt, and she says while Jubilee is active, when you field a character die, she deals 1 damage to your opponent and 1 damage to target character die. So, spoiler alert, I built a team with this card, Kim.
With Thor.
And I had Thor on the team too. And when I got them both in the field, which I did, I was dealing 3 damage to my opponent and 1 to a character die every time I fielded a character. So, and a character can be something as simple as a sidekick. So you roll a sidekick, or you use the Mr. Sinister Global to field a sidekick and prep a sidekick die. Really easy to do. And it was kind of hurty, wasn't it, Kim?
Yeah, it was. Taking 3 each time is not very fun.
So, I mean, putting both of those on a team and getting them both out into the field could be challenging, but it is possible. I did it. I played it against Kim. It worked. Once.
Yep. Now,
So.
I don't know if like a Jubilee can stand on her own. I mean, Thor's a little bit more expensive. He deals 2 damage when you field something. Same with Jubilee's when you field, except she's doing 1 damage. She's a 2 cheaper, but she's also doing a damage to a character die, which can backfire on yourself as well if the opponent doesn't have one.
That's right. It's not a May. It's a must.
Yeah.
But I do think that she does stand on her own. It is possible. There is a direct counter directly in the set, but again, there's lots of ways to remove dice from the field. So, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, Kim, what's the next one that comes to your mind?
Can I say just for the global?
But what version, Kim?
There's 2 versions of Miss Becky Lynch, Made in Ireland and Straight Fire.
Yeah, so those you think we'll probably see both of those?
At least one or the other. I think people, if they're going to play it competitive and not too much control, maybe just a Straight Fire, which is straight up Overcrush, 1 cheaper, 4 cost, right?
Yeah.
But if they want a little control with it as well, they could do the 5 cost, which is Made in Ireland, which is also Overcrush, but also when she's fielded, she rerolls up to 2 characters from the field zone.
Right.
And if they don't roll, they go to used, and then she deals them 1 damage to your opponent for each die moved to the used pile. So, yeah, it's a pretty good one.
I want to mention something about this, Becky, because I think we've talked about it briefly before, but it came to my mind when I was rereading the die. So it says reroll up to 2 target superstar dice. So you can choose to reroll 0.
That's correct.
But it also doesn't say opposing.
That's correct. So you can reroll your own.
You could reroll your own, right? But if you rerolled your own and they rerolled energy, you're still dealing damage to your opponent.
Yes.
So let's say I've got 2 sidekicks in my field, and I field a Becky Lynch. I could choose to reroll both of my sidekicks. They're probably going to roll energy because there's a 1 in 6 chance that that's going to roll a sidekick character face. A 5 in 6 chance it's going to roll an energy face.
Yeah.
It's going to go to my use pile, which would be out of play because it's my turn, and deal my opponent a damage for each. So just a strategy to think about out there.
Actually, I never noticed that.
Yeah, that's what my eagle eyes are for, Kim.
I know. That's why you have to read text pretty carefully sometimes.
Yeah, read the text exactly for what's there and don't try to interpret. Just remember that. So
yeah.
All right, Kim. So I think the next one that I think we're definitely going to see is the Godcatcher, famous walking statue. And Mr. Godcatcher, again, has been around for a little while, like almost 2 years at this point, I think.
Yeah, because it's from was it from a team pack or was it actually from the
I think it's
set?
from the box set, Trouble in Waterdeep.
Okay. Yeah.
And he says is a trap. It's a 3-cost bolt. You place it in your field zone when used, and you send it to your use pile when triggered. The trigger is you use an action die, and the effect is field a +10 attack and +10 defense Godcatcher token. The Godcatcher token says when the Godcatcher attacks, target character die must block this turn, if able. So it is really easy to trigger this darn thing and to get a bunch of 10/10 tokens in your field. And there's lots of strategies on how you can get them through, whether that's giving the Godcatcher Overcrush or giving the Godcatcher Unblockable. And there's different ways to give it Overcrush today than there used to be. So,
yeah, on somebody's global.
Yeah, there's 2 globals. No, there's a global on Mr. Sinister.
Yes.
But there's also a Psylocke in the new set. It's a 2-cost
when
mask.
She feels, she gives Overcrush.
You give Overcrush. So if you have a token in the field, a token is the level 1 character die in the field, you can give that token Overcrush when you field the 2-cost mask. So so that's one that I think that we're going to see.
And last but not least, a new one from the Dark Phoenix set, Master Mold Endless Sentinels.
Never heard of it.
So Master Mold is if you've listened to our podcast two episodes ago, was it? We talked about Master Mold and Godcatcher, and so he's a token producer. He's a 6-cost, it's a super rare from the new set. So when he's fielded, you place a 5/5 token. When he attacks, you place a 5/5 token. Or when he's KO'd, you place a 5/5 token. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very thematic. And we've talked about this on previous podcasts. Very thematic that this happens. Master Mold in the comics just churns out Sentinels to fight. So it totally makes sense. But it can be very overwhelming very fast.
Yeah.
Is it infallible? No. Because I played a Thor Jubilee team that beat that once.
Because Kim had to buy 3 Master Molds because one couldn't roll.
That was not the time that I beat you. You beat me in that
was
game.
it? I can't remember.
Yeah, but one of the games we played, one of the earlier games when we were playing your Master Mold team. I don't know if you're playing Master Mold in the 2 Team Takedown. I don't know if you want to disclose that at this point.
I can because, it's already going to be locked in by the time we start on the Monday. Yes.
Yeah, you're playing the Master Mold team?
Yeah. As you put it, do you remember what you said to me?
I don't know. What did I say? Was it good? Should we talk about it?
It's whenever you're not going to be able to play it anywhere else, so this is the perfect opportunity to play it in a competitive tournament.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that I would have said.
Yeah, and plus, I own it.
Yeah, you've got one.
So why not?
Why not?
Why not? My other team was actually the Godcatcher, so I dropped Godcatcher for the Master Mold.
Yeah. So those are sort of the top ones that we think that we're going to see in this tournament.
On a majority of teams. One team of
at least one of those teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other things might we see, Kim, from a win condition perspective?
Yeah, so these are some other ones that we may see. Maybe. So not the top ones that we just named, but maybe that hopefully we might see around, as I think they're probably either forgotten of because they're from older sets, or we haven't really seen it shine. And I'm going to say this one because this is my second team.
Okay.
Is the rare Colossus from the new set called Piotr.
Peter?
It's not Peter.
Well, no, it's Piotr.
So while he's active, at the end of your turn, each of your level 2 and level 3 character dice deals your opponent 2 damage.
Yep. Super, super destructive.
Yes.
Like just massive outputs of damage. I pulled him when Rob and I were doing our sealed game series over on Dice Station Zebra's Twitch channel, and I think this game made it to the YouTube as well, so youtube.com/Dice Station Zebra. And even in a sealed game, It did not take a whole heck of a lot for me to get a bunch of level 2 and level 3 characters, and I'm pretty sure that I could have killed Rob in 2 turns. But I also pulled a super rare that I wanted to try out, and as a result, I KO'd 4 of my character dice, and then not enough of them rolled back to kill him in turn 2, so I had to go to turn 3. But anyway, long story short, very, very effective, very easy to deal damage. The trick is you just got to keep all of your characters in the field, which can be challenging.
Yeah, and obviously you need to either roll it on 2 or 3, because rolling them all on ones is not going to help you really much. So,
or just have a way to spin them up, right?
Yes.
So again, yeah, the win condition is great, but they all need support pieces, right? There's a reason there's 8 cards and 2 basic action cards on a Dice Masters team, because no one card can do it all on its own pretty well, right? So yeah, some cards have a lot of opportunity. They do a lot of things, like you talked about the Becky Lynch Made in Ireland, where she's got control with the re-rolling, plus direct damage, plus, overcrush, plus a global. She is kind of the whole package, but is she going to be able to win the game on her own? No, you're still going to need ramp, and you're still going to need other control and, things like that. So, okay. So, one thing that has sort of dropped a little bit off the radar, because it's, again, a much older card, but is still quite effective, would be Iceman right on schedule. And this card has been around since probably 2019. And he says, when Iceman takes damage in the attack step, deal your opponent 2 damage. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if that's the exact wording. Iceman. When Iceman takes damage during the attack step, he deals 2 damage to target opponent. Okay, I did pretty good from memory. As if I've played that card before.
I've actually never officially played it in any tournament, really.
It was very effective. And there was a rotation after the 2019 Worlds, and it was a little harder to trigger him, but then we got the Infinity Gauntlet set, which brought some new tools, and there's a pretty effective Iceman schedule, right on schedule team out there that you can probably find, and it would not surprise me to see Iceman as a team people are playing, and also as something that could potentially be like a top level team.
I think it might be out there, but I think it's kind of fallen off. But who knows?
Again, people like the new and shiny toys.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe we might see an Iceman, but not that one. Maybe we might see something from the new set. Who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know how well his Iceman cards are in the new set.
They're not that great. So, what else do you think we might see, Kim?
Green Lantern, human.
Tell me about Green Lantern.
Again, maybe not it didn't get much played, I don't think, but I think maybe as Iceman it may have fallen off. So it's a 5 cost, and it's from the Justice box set. And when he's active, your Justice League character dice gain. When this character die attacks, deal 1 damage to target player for each energy symbol in your reserve pool that matches the character die's energy type. Question marks, energy does not count.
Yeah. So a lot of words, a lot of text on that card, but basically what it does is it gives all your Justice League characters that text. So if you can sort of get enough energies in your reserve pool that matches them, when they attack, they deal direct damage to your opponent.
Yep.
And a very effective team again. It was the top team at the 2019 Worlds, and there are again, it's something that's maybe not quite as prominent with the cards that we've just talked about, but definitely has legs, definitely is effective, and still has the tools to make it happen. So you could definitely see that.
Yeah. What else we got?
Dark Phoenix Malevolent. This is a particular favorite of mine, Kim. So
I think we had all 3 down here, but
we do. I'm not so sure about the uncommon. I know you.
I like the uncommon, but we'll talk about it.
So the Malevolent is a 7 cost bolt, and she's a villain character. She costs 1 less to purchase if your opponent has an X-Men character on their team. And I think it's highly likely, with all of the cards that we've talked about, that there will be an X-Men character out there. And if there is an X-Men character out there, you know who's going to be out there with her is, with him or her is going to be our good friend Hope Summers, pluripotent Echopraxia, which we can talk about in a minute. But it's very likely that your opponent's going to have an X-Men character on their team, which means she's only a 6 cost. And then she has her own global that's going to help you buy her cheaper, which is pay a bolt and KO one of your character dice. The next die you purchase this turn costs 2 less to a minimum of 1. You can stack that global, so if you've got, 2 sidekicks, you could KO both those sidekicks with a bolt and purchase her for 2. So, pretty effective. Now, what is the reason she is cool? When fielded, KO target character die. If it's an X-Man character die, deal your opponent 4 damage. 4.
See, the only thing with this one, though, it's got to line up on an X-Men team.
You could KO your own X-Man.
That's if you build her with an X-Men team, yes.
If you're going to play her, I would put an X-Men character on my team, just a 2 cost or something. Or, alternatively, if I had an open basic action slot, I would play the Radicalization basic action card, which has a global. You pay 1 energy. It's a shield. Target character die gains X-Man or Brotherhood until end of turn. So you pay a shield to make something an X-Man, you field her, you KO it, you do 4 damage.
Yep. Or if you do KO your own, just like your text you said on the last card, it's dealing your opponent 4 damage if it's your own.
That's right. So, again, that 4 damage can really stack, and her stats are really heavy. She's a 155, 277, 388. So the fielding cost can be expensive, but there's ways around that.
Yeah. And then you got to keep fielding her to do that. So you will have to KO her.
Well, yeah. But,
And hopefully she rolls back.
I think there's legs there. You just got to figure it out. So. Do you want to talk about the uncommon, Kim?
Sure. Enemy of the Shiar.
Shiar.
6 cost. When fielded, KO target Pineapple Head, but it's not pineapple. It's Shiar. Or X-Men character die. That is not a May.
That's right.
When Dark Phoenix attacks, deal 2 damage to your opponent. I like it because if you have her there and she attacks, she deals 2 damage to your opponent. You can bring her back. Next turn, attack with her again. Deal 2 damage.
Has the same global. Yep.
Pass back. If she happens to get KO, which is kind of hard, then you could KO. I don't know. There's not much Shiar cards out there, or Shiar,
There's a few.
or X-Men. But yeah, I like it because it almost reminds me of Orion. Back in the day, Orion Rare. When he attacks, he deals 2. When he fielded, he deals 2. When he attacks, he deals 2. So it kind of reminds me of that card.
Yeah, similar, but not exactly the same.
And the rare?
Dark Phoenix Destructive Force. We did a whole episode about this.
Yes, we did.
A whole episode about Dark Phoenix. 7 cost bolt, villain affiliation. When an opposing character die damages Dark Phoenix, she deals that much damage to each opponent. So basically what that means is you attack with, let's say, a Godcatcher. It's a 10-10, right?
Mm-hmm.
I block with my Dark Phoenix. Let's say she's on level 3. She's an 8-8. Your 10 attacking Godcatcher did 10 to Dark Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
She's going to reflect that back on you, and you're going to take 10.
Yep.
And all damage is dealt simultaneously. So it makes your opponent think, do I want to attack?
Mm-hmm. Especially if she's sitting there.
Yeah. And again, I would set this up with some good support pieces, whether that's a force attack global or a force block global. So you can force something into her so that you can deal damage to your opponent. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
All right. And the last one that we have here. Oh, no, we have more.
Yeah. We have a few more.
Why don't you pick one, Kim? Because I just talked.
All right, I'm gonna pick so Nebula and Adam because I think they pair well together.
They do.
So Nebula is from Infinity, and they're both an Awaken. So Awaken is when
Infinity Gauntlet.
yes, Awaken is when they spin up. You do their Awaken ability. So Nebula is a 5 cost, and she deals 1 damage to target character die, and 2 damage to target player. And Adam, it was the Adam, right?
That's right. The
Yeah,
Adam
Adam
Professor.
is from the Justice campaign box. Professor. He's a 4 cost, and his Awaken ability is deal 2 damage to target opponent.
Yeah.
So if you can have them both out and be able to spin 1 down, 1 up, you're always doing 2 damage. 1 down, 1 up, you're always doing 2 damage. So if you can get them going, you're pretty much doing 2 damage every time. Plus, you can do that probably as many times as you can.
As many masks as you can get to spin them.
Yeah, and you can do it on your opponent.
Turn
as well.
Yeah, so when you get the global window, you have the opportunity to do that. So
yeah. So I've tried this team. I thought it was good. I enjoyed playing it. I don't know if we'll see it or one or the other, but I think these two will pair well together if you have them going.
Yeah, and I think because we just had a new basic action printed, Mutation, which has that global that allows you to spin target character die down to spin target character die up. You have to spin one of your own down. You could spin something else up, but it doesn't have to be yours. But because that's printed with the Mutation global, I think it's something that is to be aware of, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And speaking of awakening, there's the Collector, Driven by Purpose. And he is a rare from Infinity Gauntlet. And what he does is when you spin him up, you get to do his Awaken effect, as previously mentioned by Kim. You choose an unpurchased character die with a purchase cost of 3 or less. Now notice that just says, just choose one. Doesn't have to be yours. It can be your opponent's. Field that character die at level 1. At the end of the turn, or when the die leaves the field zone, return it to its card. You may only use this ability once per turn, no matter how many collector dice you spin up. So, any 3 costs that are useful that you can do, and because you're fielding them, if they have a when fielded effect, or something that triggers when they field, like Intimidate, spin down, re-roll, any of those things that you can do with the character as long as it's 3 purchase of a 3 cost or less, printed 3, then you can do it. So there's some cool stuff you can do with that. And again, that's something you can do on your opponent's turn as well, as long as you can spin the Collector up.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I never really paid attention to that one. I'm not sure how much that could be one of those like hidden cards that nobody knows about.
Yeah, I think that currently, I haven't done a lot of looking in Dark Phoenix Saga, but I know when Infinity Gauntlet came out, there weren't a ton of 3 or less costs that did cool things when they were fielded that made it effective. But I think there are some cool 3 costs or less in the new set, and there may be a way to make that cool. This is more of a wish list as opposed to something you might actually see.
Yeah. I'm going to let you talk about the other ones because you have those down.
All right.
I'm not sure where the win conditions on those are, so I'll have you explain it to them.
All right. Well, I've got 3 more things that I want to talk about. So, and again, I don't know that this one's a win condition. It's an enabler. But She-Hulk Greenie, again from Infinity Gauntlet, is something that's super cool. I haven't quite figured her out yet. It does require you to manage your use pile very effectively. She's a 6 cost shield with the Avengers affiliation. While she's active, at the start of your turn, before your clear and draw step, you may field a non-sidekick character die from your use pile at level 1. So you're doing it for free, right? So whatever you have in your use pile, it has to not be a sidekick, so any character die. you get to field it at level 1 for free at the beginning of your turn. So if you have something that's going to give you like a when fielded effect or an advantage when you field it, like let's say you've got, I'm going to use Ghost Rider as an example. I like that Ghost Rider from Infinity Gauntlet. Hellfire, yeah. When fielded, deal your opponent X damage, where X is equal to Ghost Rider's printed fielding cost. So you field him for free, and you ping your opponent for 1. And then you do your clear and draw step and do the rest of your turn. Right? Okay. And it just stays there, right? It doesn't go back to the card. It doesn't go back to the use pile. You can attack with it. You know, it's effective. So there's ways to use that to enable other things, and I think that would be a super cool thing to do. The second thing also comes from Infinity Gauntlet, and I'd like to see this happen, but the Black Order affiliation. There's only 7 cards that have the Black Order affiliation, but they work really well together, and they have some when fielded effects to make things cheaper, to make things have overcrush. It's a pretty effective team when you can get it going. You would need most of the Black Order to make it happen, but it would be fun, and I would love to see someone play that. Okay.
Yeah, do anything with them, they're a little expensive, so you would have to really...
But some of them discount each other.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Plus, you'd still have, even if you played all 7, you'd still have 1 spot on your team for something effective to help you with that, like a Clayface with the Global, or something like that. Clayface says, pay a mask, target character die from your use pile, place it in your use pile, or place it in your reserve pool on any energy face to help you with stuff. So there's things you can do. You'd still have a little bit of flexibility, even if you played all 7.
Yeah, sure.
And finally, the most broken basic action, in my personal opinion, in the new set Dark Phoenix Saga, Living the Dream.
I hear a lot of people talk about this.
All right. So this is... Okay. Let me explain why this could be broken. So... there's a ruling that has been provided that unless specified, because there are some cards that specified this, so unless specified, your cards can gain loyalty counters even if the characters are not active. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A loyalty counter gives a character die +1 attack, +1 defense, and they stack. So let's say you've got something with loyalty counters on your team. You get 3 loyalty counters on the team. This is when Living the Dream becomes broken. So it's a continuous action die. You field it. It sits in your field until something can remove it. There are things that can remove those in this set, but let's just keep talking. If among all character cards on your team, you have at least 3 loyalty counters. So it doesn't have to be 3 loyalty counters on a single card. It can be 3 different cards with loyalty counters. You just have to have 3 loyalty counters on your cards. Those characters don't even have to be active. They just have to have 3 loyalty counters on their card. With me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Your character dice, that's all of them. All your character dice. Get +1 attack and overcrush. And then it says until end of turn, but this card has been eroded. It ends at overcrush. So if you can get 3 loyalty counters on your card, on your cards among your team, every character die in your field, including your sidekicks, are going to get +1 attack and overcrush. That's where I drop my mic. So it's a 4-cost basic action, but there's ways to get basic actions cheaper. There's a card, I think it's Magneto, that gets loyalty counters when mask characters are KO'd. Yeah. When one of your mask character dice is KO'd, put a loyalty counter on Magneto's card. So it doesn't say it has to be KO'd by your opponent. You don't have to have the die active for it to happen. You put 3 cheap mask characters in the field. Like, it could be the same character. It could be 3 2-cost Psylocks. They're masks. You hit them all with the Dark Phoenix Global. You get 3 loyalty counters on Magneto, and all of a sudden, every character die you have has +1 attack and overcrush. Boom.
Yeah. You really have to set that up, though.
I don't think it's as hard as you think it is. I have played it. I mean, is it Master Molder God Catcher level? Is it Thor level? No. Can it happen? Yes. Are you in a format where you have to play 2 different teams? Yes. Is it possible? Yes.
Yes, but you need high A character sitting in your field.
No, you don't. Yeah.
Or you
I
need
honestly,
a lot of characters sitting in your field.
you need a lot of characters, or you need some characters with a high A, or a way to give them a high attack. So there's a lot of different things you can do with that. Right? And I'm not here to give you all the answers. I'm just here to
I want to
say,
see this team. I want to see this team in action.
and
Have to
I don't
look
know
out and
how
see
it's
if
going to
anybody
hold
brought
up
it.
against a God Catcher or a Master Mold,
I
but
don't
it
know.
might. I want to see it happen.
Let's see if anybody brings this as a team, living the dream.
So that's all the things that I would like to see and or may actually show up.
Yeah. We'll see if we are right come
The day this
time.
podcast release.
Yes, exactly. When we can take a look at all the team lists.
Yeah.
Of what people brought.
So yeah, and then there's all kinds of cards, particularly in the new set, and we've sort of alluded to some of them as support as we've been talking about these win conditions, like all the different Mr. Sinister globals, right? We've already talked about that. We've talked about the mutation basic action. We've alluded to the fact that there's things that can remove continuous action dice or traps from the field. That's Moira, right? So there's Moira, it's not a dream. So she can prevent those from potentially being fielded. And then there's also the other version of her that actually removes it. Strength of Foresight. When fielded, you may send target action die from your opponent's field zone to their use pile. So there are things out there. There's the typical sort of support pieces like Clayface Restless, which we've talked about. Pay the masks to bring in a die. You get extra energy out of that. There's all kinds of different things that we'll probably see. But I guess the only thing I really want to highlight that is different, Kim, is what we were seeing with a lot of teams were the Eddie Guerrero Ice Steel or the Istrid Horn, right? So the Eddie Guerrero says when he attacks, you move all the energy dice in your opponent's reserve pool to their use pile, which prevents your opponent from using globals because they don't have any energy. Or the Istrid Horn that says when fielded, you may choose a global ability. If you do, it cannot be used this turn, and any of its effects immediately end. So those were ways that people protected themselves from global abilities, particularly if they were doing something that required attacking. Right?
Even New Fear's broadcast stops all global abilities.
Yeah, which is a basic action.
Yep.
But now we have the Gladiator Global. And the Gladiator Global, as I understand it, is a reprint from the Yu-Gi-Oh set.
Oh.
I believe it was on the Doom Caliber Night card.
Okay.
It says pay a fist when you attack. Your character dice can't be the target of action dice or global abilities until the end of turn. So you don't have to attack with a character. You don't have to field a character. You now have this on global level command. All you have to have is a fist, and you can prevent your opponent from affecting your dice with global abilities.
Just be careful. Don't put static field with the same guy on your team. Because you don't want to be attacking, and then you've said, "Oh, I'm going to stop global abilities," and then you can't static back your guy.
Yeah, if you wanted to static field your character back,
don't put this.
You wouldn't be able to do it.
Those two don't go on the same team.
But typically, if you're doing something that attacks, you probably don't want to static field it. I know that's not always the case. Sometimes you do. And if that's the case, you might want to use an Eddie Guerrero or an Istrid Horn deck collector. But, typically you want to just, smash face. And this will help you smash face when you're attacking.
Yep.
So yeah, that's sort of the big support piece that I think is going to be different this time around.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see how much people have that one on their team. Or one of their teams.
Well, and by now, when this episode comes out, you will know because you'll be able to look at the team list, which will be posted on dm-north.com.
Yes.
So, all right. So that's is that our meta talk, Kim?
Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that can stop Thor, God Catchers, or Master Moles, and so. But the only problem is you only allow it on one team. So it'd be very interesting when teams actually pair up against each other. What actually happens if you get a good pairing or if you don't, right? So, you can't put everything on a team.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. What did you put on your team? If you are one of the 32 players that participated in this tournament, we are maxed. Again, I'm saying we as if I had anything to do with it. We have maxed out the DM
we
North.
As in dmNorthTV.
Yeah. dmNorthTV has maxed out their tournament list. They said 32 was the max. How many rounds is that, Kim, with 32 players?
It still caps at 5.
Okay, so 5 rounds.
Cool. The 5, once you hit 5, I think it's like, once you hit a certain number of players, when you get high up there, I think it's a big gap before you move into like 6. But you can cap it whatever you want, pretty much.
Yep. So for the next 5 weeks, there will be weekly opportunities to play your opponents, and you will be able to go through and play your teams and see how they fare. And then we'll do a bit of a wrap up maybe once it's over and talk a little bit about how it went.
Yeah. So we can see how, if any of our predictions were actually right.
I really want to see a Living the Dream team.
So do I. And I want to see it in action. So we'll have to look out and see if anybody has it.
An action?
See it in action.
Oh, I thought you said I want to see an action. I'm like, what action are we talking about? Yeah, so I'd like to see that. I'd like to see some of the Dark Phoenixes. I'd like to see a She-Hulk Greedy, and I'd like to see the Nebula Atom team go. So we'll see. We will all see.
Should we dive into the dice bag?
Sure, Kim. Let's do it. Dice bag was a little light this week. Not a ton of content, but we did hear from everyone's fave hero, Donnie, on
the YouTube.
And as always, Donnie reached out and he said, in regards to episode number 58, where we talked about Raven, he says the rare is definitely the best out of the set. He did find it interesting that they use a different art for the promo cards. And he said that Raven's storyline is crazy.
Is it now?
It kind of is.
Yep.
He also mentioned that he'd use the Cosmic Cube with the Common Banshee and the Atom Warlock that doubles when fielded. It was quite fun. You were dealing 6 damage to your opponent's board. I think that was in relation to some of the chat we were having about direct damage in the last episode. And he says, I do hope I get the Master Mold, only for the fact that I am way more of an X-Man fan than D&D. So he would rather have Master Mold than Godcatcher. So, and that's just from a personal opinion. So thanks, Donnie, for reaching out. We really do appreciate it that you reach out to us every episode.
Yeah.
We heard from Jackalope Spam, and he said that he's come to the conclusion that neither Master Mold nor Godcatcher are really that bad. He said the fact that we're debating which is better is a good sign for the meta. We could easily expand to which is better when compared to Becky, to Thor, to Hope Summers, which we didn't actually touch on in our previous conversation, although we said we were going to. The more questions, the better the meta. So banning one of them, like Master Mold, takes the meta in the wrong direction. There's one less card to consider. We want more questions and not less. I think that is 100% true. I am all on board. What do you think, Kim?
Yes.
All right. Kim says yes. And then finally we heard from Chris from the Ministry of Dice. We had quite a good chat there for a while about various things, including the importance of blue light protection on your eyeglasses. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to reach out to me. But in the meantime, one of the things we had talked about was how do you get around that Raven, right? Because it was saying you couldn't target the dice. So Chris said Shriek. Shriek circumvents Raven because she targets the card. And that would be Shriek's Sonic Beam. And so then I said, so in turn, Typhoid Mary or Drax or Blob would also work because they targeted the card and not the die? And he said yes. And I said, that's a much easier answer than I was expecting. I figured it was going to be much more complicated to try and stop Raven. And I'm sure at one point it probably was. But when these cards came out, it made it a little bit easier. He also said they used to imprison her a lot back in the day because imprison was ruled as to not target. Imprisoned was a basic action card from, I think it was Uncanny X-Men.
I have, yeah, it's going way back. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
This die captures any number of opposing characters with a total fielding cost of 2 or less. This effect lasts until canceled, or you damage your opponent, and then you return the captured die to the field. So you would play the imprison basic action die, you capture all the dice, including Raven, and then you just, keep her protected in the prison until you're able to basically destroy your opponent. So again, a card I didn't play with a whole heck of a lot back then. I was like, I don't understand how this card works, because I was new and young and confused and not jaded by metas and playing with cards that looked fun and really having no idea what I was doing. The good old days. But yeah, so I didn't play with that, but it totally makes sense, and we do appreciate, Chris, for you bringing that to us. He also let us know that it was Teen Titans number 100, where Raven crashed the wedding. And if you are interested in the cover for that, she's wearing quite the outfit. But all I can say is at least her legs were warm. So take a look for it, Teen Titans 100, to find that cover, and you can see what Raven's outfit looked like when she crashed the wedding. So
yeah, she looked kind of funny. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know when that came out, but it looked kind of like 80s/90s.
I would say even earlier. I'm gonna go with 70s, 80s.
Oh,
Chris, let us know.
Well, I'm just looking it up. Teen Titans number 100. Let's see. Oh, this isn't helping me. Because this says it's from 2011, and that is 100% not it. This is like an anniversary episode. Anniversary issue, I mean. Anyway, so yeah. So whenever it came out, 80s-ish maybe, it definitely was kind of it was interesting. That's all I'll say. That's the dice bag, Kim. Should we talk about upcoming tournaments?
Or events?
Sure.
Well, the next upcoming tournament will be Two Team Takedown, but it's really late to sign up now for that one. But weekly events, we have weekly Dice Arena that happens Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, hosted by dmNorthTV over on the Twitch land. And you can you can take a look at the formats on the Discord, whether it be our Discord, which we'll have in the show notes for you if you have not joined, or the Dice Masters Discord under the Weekly Dice Arena channel, and you can check out the formats for the week coming. And this week, actually, it's I called it Kick Beep Mothers.
What?
I don't know. Kick-ass mothers. So, because Mother Day is coming up, you have to make a team of only females who are mothers.
That's very specific.
Research on. Yeah, very specific.
If only we had an Invisible Woman / Sue Storm card.
Yeah, copyrights.
How many are there, Kim? Did you do some research?
No, because I vaguely know some of them who are mothers. Aren't they all pretty much mothers? But it's golden, so you have a good.
Don't have children, so.
Well, then it might not be an 8-card team.
I say this as if I actually know what I'm talking about. And
I'm pretty sure you can make an 8-card team with ladies who are mothers. I'm pretty sure they all had a kid at some point. That's why I probably put get your research on, because you probably have to research it. Well, we know for a fact that Raven doesn't. Moira didn't. Did we do a Moira, right? We did a Moira episode.
We did. Yep.
Yeah. Miss Marvel, no. Because they're all youngins. Black Canary, I'm sure. She probably had a kid. We didn't do Black Canary, though. Yeah, so, what, get your research on, and I'll make you work for that team this coming Tuesday. And then you have Dice Fight on Thursdays, which is run through the Discord channel. and you can check out their channel. That happens at 4 o'clock Eastern time. If you do want to play in that tournament, not tournament, event. Dice Social happened already in April, but by the time this podcast hits, we'll be in May. So we'll take a look at what we will do in May and have a date set for that.
Yeah, which very likely will be a Kim hosted event without me, because I am going away for a couple of weeks because my sister is having a baby and I am going to go help her out when the baby comes. So I'll be away for 2 weeks in Vancouver.
Nice. Yay, babies.
But, yeah, we'll still be able to record the podcast, but it's very unlikely that I will be able to participate in a Dice Social in May.
Cool.
But that's okay. Kim can handle it. She's an expert.
Yep. Until my OBS crashed. Don't get me started.
Yep.
All right.
And there will be lots of opportunities, I'm sure, to watch Two Team Takedown teams.
Yes.
Because a lot of folks will be playing their games and a lot of folks will be streaming games. We saw that in the last round. And even if they're not streaming, they're usually playing in some of the public rooms, whether that's on dmNorthTV's website or on the Dice Coalition's website. And most folks are open to spectators as long as you don't participate, as in don't talk to them and don't put anything in the chat. So there'll be lots of opportunities to watch Dice Masters in the next 5 weeks. If you are new and you're not sure how some of these cards work or how the teams work, make sure you jump in and pay attention to some of that.
Yep. And a lot of us also uploaded on YouTube. A lot of the content creators who are playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look out there as well.
Lots of opportunity. All right, Kim, I think that's all we have for today.
I think so.
All right. So in that case, we would love to hear what you think about what the two-team takedown meta might like. What did you think of the hastily Googled definition of meta for Dice Masters? Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share with us? We would love to hear from you. So you can reach out to us in a whole bunch of places. We'll start with, you can leave a comment on our episode post at dm-north.com. You can send us an email at dpodcast@dm-north.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as dmNorthTV. And you can go onto the Discord. You can join our dmNorthTV Discord, and you can leave comments in our Double and Dice podcast convo chat channel, where we hear a lot of conversation about the podcast episode. You can also choose to @ us on Discord. Kim is @SuperK, and I am @JoceStitch, JOCE Stitch. And you can also find us, as previously mentioned, on the YouTube, youtube.com/dmNorthTV, and on Twitch, where we have live content, including that fantastic weekly Dice Arena that Kim's been running, and that is at twitch.tv/dmNorthTV. So until next time, on a Double and Dice.